Today, we're diving into the absolute biggest number in global finance, the U.S. federal debt. You've given us a series stack of source material, everything from CBO forecasts to, detailed Fed research on how bond markets actually quantify risk. The national debt is hovering around, what, $38 trillion?
Mhm.
So our mission today is simple, but I mean, it's absolutely crucial. We need to figure out the actual line item cost of carrying this debt and how this colossal figure threatens not just the American economy, but really the entire global financial ecosystem.
Exactly. And our mission is focused on the mechanics, not just the politics. We want to cut through the noise and distill this for you into three areas. First, the sheer arithmetic of the forecast, what we're calling the unstoppable trajectory. Then, the hard financial physics of how debt actually changes borrowing costs. And finally, the massive international side of it all, the interconnectedness. Because
Mhm.
fundamentally, you have to see this as a structural problem, a spending gap that's always there, combined with this compounding cycle of interest payments.
Okay, let's unpack that structural problem, starting with
Yeah.
the long-term arithmetic. We have the CBO's 2025 projection, looking out 3 decades to 2055. What does that trajectory actually look like? When do we hit those sort of terrifying historical benchmarks?
Well, a word for it is relentless. Federal debt held by the public is projected to rise every single year of that period. We hit a historic and, frankly, a shocking marker very, very
How
soon.
soon?
By 2029, the debt climbs to 107% of GDP.
So we're going to surpass the peak of 106% of GDP, which is right after World War II.
Right after financing a global war.
And it took a war to get us there then.
Yeah.
Now, it's just structural inertia.
That is the key comparison. And unlike after the war, the climb doesn't stop. It just keeps going, hitting 156% of GDP by 2055. And crucially, it's still on track to increase even after that.
So if it's not a war, what's the engine driving this?
It's a dual engine, really. The total deficit averages about 6.3% of GDP over this whole time. But you have to break that down. First, the sources point to a sustained primary deficit.
Okay, let's pause there because that term is so critical. What is the primary deficit in plain English?
It's the deficit before you even count interest costs. It means even if we had zero debt today, the government is still structurally spending about 2.0% of GDP more than it takes in. And that's higher than the historical average.
So we have a spending problem baked right into the cake before we even look at the interest bill.
Exactly. Which brings us to the second factor, the compounding one, the rising net interest costs. Interest payments alone, just interest, reach 5.4% of GDP by 2055.
Wow.
To give you some context, that one category will be more than 1.5 times its average over the last 50 years.
And on the spending side, I'm guessing it's the usual suspects demographics.
Absolutely. Total government outlays hit 26.6% of GDP in 2055, driven almost entirely by Social Security and Medicare as the population ages. And the consequence of all that math is, well, it's inescapable. It will slow economic growth and reduce private investment by making capital more expensive for everyone.
Okay, this is where it gets really important for the real world cost. We're moving from the CBO's arithmetic to the financial physics that the Dallas Fed research quantifies. Economists don't just think debt raises rates. This research puts a precise number on it. So what is the penalty the market imposes?
The finding is incredibly precise. A 1 percentage point increase in the federal debt-to-GDP ratio generates a 3 to 3.2 basis point increase in long-term Treasury rates.
3 basis points.
Yeah.
That sounds tiny, but we're talking about a debt increase of almost 50 percentage points of GDP over this period, applied across a $38 trillion debt, that is. That's a staggering increase in borrowing costs.
It is massive when you scale it up. But the key isn't just the number, it's why the cost goes up. When the researchers broke it down, they found that about 3/4, so 70 to 80% of that rise is due to an increase in something called the term premium.
Okay, let's unpack that. The term premium. If it's not just inflation people are worried about, what is the market actually demanding to be paid for?
It's demanding to be paid for uncertainty, for risk. The term premium is basically the extra yield investors demand to hold a long-term bond instead of just rolling over short-term ones. It's like an uncertainty tax.
So if investors look at our political situation at the gridlock, they say, I need a higher return to hold this for 10 years because who knows what kind of chaos is coming.
That's it, exactly. That risk gets priced in directly. Political instability has a tangible, quantified price tag.
And we can see that in real time.
Oh, absolutely. Other research confirms it. Any major fiscal news, especially negative news, causes an immediate, measurable jump in those term premia. The market is always watching.
So let's look at the mechanics of failure here. That vicious cycle people call the debt spiral. We've established we're running a primary deficit, so we're in the red even before interest. How does that accelerate into a real crisis?
It accelerates because you're borrowing new money to cover that primary gap, and you're borrowing more money just to pay the interest on all the old debt. It's a self-feeding, compounding cycle. Every dollar of new debt makes the next interest payment bigger.
It's the national version of using one credit card to pay the minimum on another.
It's a perfect analogy, and a dangerous one,
Yeah.
especially because of a key vulnerability. Our national debt has a pretty short average maturity, only about 5 to 6 years.
And what does that short maturity mean when rates are high?
It means we are constantly refinancing huge chunks of that $38 trillion. If rates stay high, in this mid 4% to 5% range, the cost to roll over that debt climbs very, very quickly.
We can't lock in low rates for the long term.
Not for the whole thing, no. We're exposed to the market's mood on average every 5 or 6 years.
And this leads to that really scary concept, fiscal dominance. This is where the Federal Reserve gets pulled into the danger zone.
Exactly. As the debt and interest costs balloon, the Fed's decisions on interest rates have these huge fiscal implications for the Treasury. The risk is that the Fed feels pressured, politically or otherwise, to prioritize government solvency, keeping rates artificially low to help the budget over its main job of controlling inflation.
And history is pretty clear on what happens then, right?
It is. When the central bank starts printing money to keep borrowing cheap for the government, you get high, persistent inflation. The risk is that the deficit forces the Fed's hand.
We've even seen this risk premium in action during things like the debt ceiling standoffs.
Those are perfect real-world examples. The analysis of the 2011 and 2013 crises showed immediate costs. Yields on all treasuries rose by 4 to 8 basis points during both of them.
So just the threat of a default costs taxpayers real money.
A direct, immediate, quantifiable cost. In 2013, the bill that was maturing right after the so-called X date saw its yield spike by 19 basis points. The market doesn't wait for a default to happen. The mere possibility is enough to charge us more.
Okay, let's pivot and look at this internationally. The U.S. debt problem isn't just ours, is it? Because of the dollar's status. What is this unique advantage we have that lets us run deficits that would have just crippled other countries years ago?
It's what's called the exorbitant privilege. It's the U.S. dollar status as the world's primary reserve currency. Think of it as the global safety blanket.
Meaning every country has to hold it.
Pretty much. As of 2024, about 58% of all internationally disclosed foreign exchange reserves are held in U.S. dollars. That creates this huge artificial demand for dollars in treasuries, which keeps our borrowing costs lower than they should be. It lets us run these massive deficits.
It's a huge advantage. But the sources we have suggest that privilege is, well, it's slowly eroding.
It's a gradual trend, but it's real. The dollar's share of global reserves has slipped from around 70% at the turn of the century down to 58% today.
So diversification.
Diversification, which means over the long term, less built-in demand for U.S. debt.
And when the U.S. has to borrow trillions of dollars from the world every year, what does that do to everyone else?
It creates enormous global spillovers, a process called crowding out. Because the U.S. is borrowing on such a scale, it puts upward pressure on global interest rates for everybody. The data on this is striking. A 1 percentage point increase in U.S. long-term rates is associated with up to a 0.9 percentage point increase in rates in other advanced economies.
Wow. So it's almost a one-for-one transfer of our borrowing costs to our allies.
It is, and it crowds out other borrowers. It's especially hard on developing countries who now face the highest financing costs in decades and a huge risk of capital flying out of their economies and back into the U.S. The ultimate risk, though, is existential. U.S. Treasuries are the primary collateral for all of international finance if the world loses confidence in them.
It could trigger a global financial crisis.
One far worse than anything we've seen in our lifetimes.
So we have the CBO flashing these bright red warning lights. We have the Fed quantifying the cost of our own political uncertainty. What does this all mean for decision makers? I mean, what constraints are there on actually fixing this?
Well, history gives us one clear model for this, the period after World War II. We did successfully reduce our debt-to-GDP ratio back then, but that was because of two things we don't have now. Exceptionally strong economic growth, the post-war boom, and strict fiscal discipline.
Yeah, the deck seems completely stacked against us on both fronts today.
It really is. Our future growth is projected to be much slower. Real GDP is only expected to average 1.6% a year, way down from the historical 2.5%. And of course, the demographics are working against us, pushing entitlement costs up. The Social Security Trust Fund is projected to be depleted by 2033.
So the solution, arithmetically, has to be a combination of things nobody likes.
It has to be. It has to be a mix of expenditure restraint. And that really means slowing the growth of entitlements and revenue enhancements, tax increases. One analysis from Brookings actually suggests that, given our tax base, tax increases might have to play a comparatively larger role here than they have in fiscal investments in Europe.
The sense of urgency seems so important here. Why not just wait? Why not wait for a crisis to force our hand?
Because the cost of waiting is steep, and it compounds. The window for a proactive, smooth adjustment is narrowing very fast. If policymakers act now, they can phase changes in gradually. They can give people, retirees, and the markets time to adjust.
But if we delay?
If we delay, the required adjustments become much more severe. You risk being forced into sudden, painful cuts or massive, immediate tax hikes, probably right in the middle of a recession when people can least afford it. The math is clear. It's the political will that's the hard part. We are genuinely at a fiscal crossroads.
And the stability of the entire system kind of hinges on which path we take.
Absolutely.
And to leave you, the listener, with one final provocative thought to mull over. Consider this. The CBO projects that by 2055, net interest outlays, that's just the money we spend to pay the bill on past borrowing, will be larger than all discretionary spending combined. So when your commitment to the past exceeds your ability to invest in the future, what hard choice gives way first? National defense, or the long-term solvency of Social Security and Medicare?